UFC 323. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure you share the video too. Also note, I will be live for the entire card Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss the Fight Companion, last pay-per-view of the year. Maybe last pay-per-view of all time. Make sure you guys tune into it. And yes, I'm in the holiday spirit. Merry early Christmas to the people watching. And let's jump into fight number one. We have Mohamed Naimov versus Mairon Santos. I've been picking Mairon Santos throughout the week. I like his stand-up. He's a good kickboxer from range, like that Brazilian Muay Thai style. He's pretty sharp, and I do think he's got a lot better timing than Naimov with punches and more power. I will give Naimov some credit. He's got a base of Taekwondo. He's got some pretty badass spins, spinning heel kicks, spinning body attacks, etc. I think when you look at the kickboxing game, Naimov might be a little slower with striking and like less impact on the shots that he throws with his hands. Whereas Santos does have good precision. He does have power, and he seems to have good striking reads on opponents. And I do think that Santos's grappling defense is going to be good enough to deal with the side of Mohamed Naimov, who does have decent pressure wrestling, but is not an elite caliber wrestler or an elite caliber ground and pound specialist. I think Santos, too slick in the stand-up, too tactical with his Brazilian-style Muay Thai, should be too sharp, should be able to take home a decision win. Now, I will say, something to not like here is that the side of Mairon Santos came in, fat boyed out. 147.5 for Mairon Santos. He missed weight. Now, if you remember, his last fight actually took place at 155 versus Sadykhov, where he shut him down. He's a young guy, and I just don't think it's realistic that missing weight in your mid-20s leads to like a successful featherweight career. Granted, you know, he could pull even Charlie O, though. He had trouble making weight at 45, and he never really got it right. He's going to have to make some magic happen. I don't know who his nutritionist is. He doesn't look shredded to me. I think there definitely can be fat loss. So I would say for Mairon, get your fucking diet right, my friend. Now, as far as skills, he's got them. On the opposite end, Mohamed Naimov looked great on the scale, shredded up, 146, on point, ready to go to war, right? He looks incredible on the scale. Face off between the two, size between the two is actually quite similar. Obviously, you can see Naimov is more shredded. I rate this fight based upon what I know as far as skill sets. I think Santos, more sharp with stand-up, better striker from distance, little cleaner in the element of technicality and striking from range. I think he can plot with maybe some good long jabs, good teeps to the body, a little tie clinch knees. Naimov's going to try to do the spin attack. I think Santos is going to be able to stifle that with pressure. I could see him tying up and backing Naimov up against the cage a bit. I think 3 good rounds of work where Santos lands the cleaner and more effective strikes. He seems like a pretty blue chip prospect. Now, I will tell you, he fought Francis Marshall, and I thought he lost that fight. I picked Francis Marshall, and he ended up, walking away with a robbery. Santos, nonetheless, next fight beat Sadykhov. Well, at one point was, fighting in a main event against Edson Barboza. So that's a pretty massive W. I think we're going to see Mairon Santos technically outstrike the side of Naimov and win. Okay, so that is the prediction. I don't need to keep fucking elaborating further. But the odds for the fight are interesting here. All right, I'll shrink them down, or I'll blow them up, I should say. Santos at -235. Bit of a favorite here. Naimov plus 200. Santos is an Ultimate Fighter winner with a clean stand-up style, which, hence the reason he's sitting at clear favorite status. I anticipate Naimov to be able to eat Santos's punches and then ending up going over 2.5 at -250. I think that Santos by decision just makes the most sense of everything. Sitting at -115, you're not going to get crazy, plus money value, but I think that Santos probably gets it on the card. It would be sweet to see him get a knockout, but the odds of him chinning Naimov, I think, are definitely more on the 10% side or less. And I think more likely it is a 3-round competitive affair. I could see a 29-28. I could see a 30-27. I think Naimov could have some moments, but Santos has more moments, and Mairon Santos goes out and gets a deserved decision win here to start the card off. So Santos to get it done gets us kicking for UFC 323. Next up, We have Mansur Abdul-Malik versus Antonio Trócoli. I have been picking Mansur Abdul-Malik. You have, they have over there, they have over there. I don't know anybody picking Trócoli. I see 3% of Tapology picked him. I don't know who those 3% are. They might have clicked it by accident. I have not met one person that has picked the side of Trócoli. I think that the only people that maybe are picking him are thinking that every UFC fight is rigged and that somehow, you know, he's going to win as a huge dog. I don't think so. I think Mansur Abdul-Malik shuts him down in all areas. We saw from Malik, new look team. He was with Eric Albarracin. So cool to see him working with, you know, the Fight Ready crew. I'm curious to see the adaptations to the style. He does have a lot of raw talent, big power in his hands, seems to be a good athlete. I mean, he's got a, you know, college wrestling background, so of course he's a good athlete. Top control is there, ground and pound is there. Bit of a dog too, likes a good scrap. Antonio Trócoli shouldn't be in the UFC. It's his birthday on fight day, though. That's something, huh? Happy birthday to Trócoli on fight day. I think that Mansur Abdul-Malik should be able to win this fight wherever it takes place. I think Malik by KO makes a lot of sense, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's dropping ground and pound hammers. I wouldn't be shocked if Trócoli is panic wrestling after getting stunned and then getting caught in a sub, like, you know, he got caught against Tresean Gore in the standing gilly, the ninja choke. I think Abdul-Malik is a lot better than Trócoli in all areas, and betting lines completely reflect that reality. We will bring them up on the scales and check them out. Antonio Trócoli weighing in. I mean, you know, skinny ripped. He's been playing professional poker as of late. So I wonder if there's the over 1.5 gamble agreement on both sides. There's Mansur Abdul-Malik rocking the cornrows. A little bit of a new look for him. I got to say, I like cornrowed Malik. There's kind of an aura about cornrowed Malik. I think it works for him. And then you'll see the face-off between the two, of course. Trócoli, a little bit taller. He's very tall for middleweight, 6'5", but just doesn't have the skill set. He doesn't have the tools. When he won on Contender Series, and then, you know, obviously he didn't get brought to the UFC because he tested positive for steroids at light heavyweight. He was jacked back then. I think Malik wins by finish, and most people will surely agree with that. And the bookies have Malik at minus 1,400. So really nothing you can do on a money line side of the gamble at minus 1,400. Unless, you know, you want to throw 14,000 down to make 1,000. Plus 800 for Trócoli here. The over 1.5 plus 161. Maybe Trócoli plays with his food and it goes over, but I'm not crazy about that. What I think is a deceptive prediction is Malik by sub at plus 550. It makes a lot of sense that he wins by KO, but I could see him getting like a front headlock position submission over the side of Antonio Trócoli in this one. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Malik to win inside distance is 7-1 odds. You want Malik in the second round, you get plus 215. First round, minus 130. If you think that he wins in the first 2 rounds, which the majority of people do, it's minus 270. I think that's likely as well. Looking towards, you know, a Malik spread, you get shit. What the fuck? Minus 700. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. I mean, inside distance, you know, you're looking at disgusting line. Malik inside distance around minus 450 to minus 700. Minus 450 is better, but still shit. You could go the 7.5, minus 7.5 spread, I guess, if you're, you know, confident he finishes, and it's a little bit better than minus 450, but even that is pretty terrible. I don't know, man. I'm kind of thinking he might get the sub, though. D-Gen call is submission win for Mansur Abdul-Malik. Plus 550 by sub, locks up a front headlock or something like that. I feel like it's more of a possibility than the betting lines are making possible. Of course, like, you know, everybody's thinking, oh, he's going to just knock him out. But he's a ground and pound stoppage specialist. Doesn't mean you couldn't lock in an arm triangle or a rear naked choke, especially if he's pulverizing Trócoli and Trócoli just gives up his back and gives up a neck, which I could see submission could hit. So plus 550 sub, D-Gen call for this one. I think, you know, might be live as a little prop sprinkle if you're looking to bet down something worth something here with the Malik fight. But yeah, Malik in the first 2 rounds at minus 270 makes a lot of sense. Could go over 1.5 with, you know, Malik maybe playing with his food a little bit, but he did knock Dushko Todorovic out in the first round. And I feel like Dushko's a better striker than Trócoli. So yeah, Malik all day. Next fight, we have Ibo Aslan versus Iwo Baraniewski. I've been picking Iwo Baraniewski to win. I like his style a lot. I feel like stand-up game. He's got good power in his right hand, and he throws it straight. That's what I like. He throws a big straight right. If you look at Ibo Aslan's skill set, it is wild punches galore. That is his game. He throws like, big looping hooks. He brings pressure, and he gets hit a lot down the center. He's not very mobile. He doesn't have much head movement. He's definitely on the stiffer side. He has power, but he's not like that powerful. I think people are overhyping his power because that cicada knockout, but like he went, hard with, the pleasure man, Trócoli rather. And he lost to Trócoli also on the regional scene. I think that Iwo Baraniewski is a very tricky fight for Ibo Aslan because an underrated skill set that Iwo has is grappling. Iwo's got good BJJ. Iwo's a, Polish champion in grappling. And he also has a shit ton, like 20 amateur fights Iwo Baraniewski had. So yeah, he's only got 6 pro fights, but he fought a ton on the amateur scene, which obviously sharpened the blade for the 27-year-old 6-0 fighter. I think Iwo Baraniewski has a big advantage on the ground. Ibo Aslan's grappling, I think, is potentially suspect. I know he was in Dagestan working, and trying to close that gap of wrestling. Even if it's a striking fight, though, like I think Baraniewski can win a boxing match against him, or I think that Baraniewski can take him down and win by submission. So I think Baraniewski inside the distance makes a ton of sense in a matchup like this, and I think there is a real high probability of him winning. Now, I will say, Ibo Aslan looked fucking jacked. In the past, he's had some gyno. Now his delts look like dynamite. That looks like TRT plus delts. Maybe a little fucking test and primo in the mix for the side of Trócoli. Maybe he's following that Hamdi Abdullah Wahab stack with the low body fat, and you can see the shit popping because he looks fucking jacked. I feel like he looks better than normal. I don't know if I'm overrating it, but Ibo Aslan looks in fantastic shape. Iwo Baraniewski, thick, jacked, strong, just naturally a dense motherfucker. And you'll see when they face off, there's really no size difference between the two. But I will say Ibo Aslan has the longer arms. Here's the face-off between the two I'll bring up now. Torso-wise, though, like the density of Baraniewski, and I think from top position, he's going to be the guy kind of locking a cinder block type top pressure down. I think Ibo Aslan's in trouble, man. He's got a really badass look. People have told me I look like Ibo Aslan, which I take as a compliment because he looks like the most dangerous motherfucker around. But the truth is, I'm not overly impressed by what he does. His best skill set being his power punching is very wild, and then having the natural flaw of hitability, and then Baraniewski having a good straight right that he likes to spam, and then with the grappling skills, I feel like he can kind of win this fight wherever it takes place. And I think that Iwo Baraniewski in the UFC debut shows out. And I think there's a damn good Polish fighter to watch at light heavyweight. -190 for Baraniewski, +165 for Ibo Aslan. I like the chances of Baraniewski handling business out here. Looking at over 1.5 is +161. I feel like it's going to end up going under 2.5, over 1.5. I mean, it could, right? It could go a little longer, but Baraniewski in his pro career has been Mr. First Round Savagery. So something worth noting. I think Baraniewski inside distance is the smarter play, around -140, -150. But I do think an underrated play would be, +425, +500 range, win by submission because of the submission credentials and the fact that that is Ibo Aslan's flawed area. And like Cutelaba was able to pulverize him on the ground and kind of make it look easy. And I predicted Cutelaba against him. I think Baraniewski should look pretty good here in his UFC debut. I think he's another one. I think he's live by submission. Of course, right? The sensible side. Oh, he catches him with a big right. But Ibo Aslan, say what you want. And I'm saying it. I'm talking shit. I'm not talking shit. I'm talking facts. He's got a very hittable style. But that doesn't mean he has a weak chin. Ibo Aslan takes a shot. But what he has is a little bit of a suspect gas tank. And he's got suspect strike defense. And he's got suspect grappling. So let's say good chin, getting stung up on the feet. Baraniewski hurts him, but then is able to find a takedown through the right hand, gets on top, beats him up, and then subs him. Submission makes a lot of sense again for this fight. I think Baraniewski by sub at +500, that's not to be overlooked. I think it's live. Baraniewski round 1 and 2, -115. Let's see, anything else here? Baraniewski scorecards, no action, -190. Interesting. It's the same as the money line. Spreads on Baraniewski. Nah. So I'm just looking at. But yeah, I think Baraniewski should go out and look pretty good here in the UFC debut. And I think he's able to, unfortunately, push Ibo Aslan to 3 losses in a row, which is really unfortunate for a guy that had a lot of hype coming in. But I just don't think he's all that. I'm going with the Polish ginger, Rudy. That's what it means, I guess. In Poland, they call it the gingers Rudy. So let me go with Rudy to get it done. Baraniewski taking out the last Ottoman, and live to sub him up as well and showcase that Polish grappling. Not like Buyo's grappling. Baraniewski's legit. Next one, Edson Barboza versus Jalin Turner. I'm picking Jalin Turner. I've been picking him all week. And, you know, I was talking about earlier in the week, if you guys watched some of the earlier content, I had mentioned how I was worried about where his head is at. I did watch the Helwani interview. I listened to him talk. What he said that I liked is this is not a one-off comeback fight. This is not, hey, I'm just back right now and then I'm bailing again. It's like, no, I'm committing to doing this full-time again. I have 3 to 4 years left in me. Okay, Jalin Turner's looking to make a fighting career once again. If he is dedicated and he's mentally sound, Jalin Turner should be able to beat a nearly 40-year-old Edson Barboza. I will say, shit, when you look at the scales, like you want to pick Edson just based off the deceptiveness of how good he looks consistently at weigh-ins, man. Holy hell. But Jalin Turner's a fast striker with good straight shots and good striking from range and explosive power. He's a great athlete. And he's got some solid grappling. I know the Bajo Mendez fight was terrible for him, but Bajo Mendez is sharp, and Jalin kind of gave it to him, to be honest. But he went to war with Dan Hooker, went to war with Mateusz Gamrot. I almost said Mateusz Rambesky. Mateusz Gamrot. I'm having too much fun, man. I think that Jalin Turner should be able to beat a 40-year-old Edson. Edson looked kind of bad against Drakkar Klose, 3.5 months ago? He looked a little flat towards the end of the fight. I think Jalin should be able to thrive. The worry with Jalin, though, has to be the mental side of the game. Jalin on the scale, looking shredded, in shape, ready to rock and roll. Edson Barboza, shredded as fuck, in shape, ready to rock and roll. I mean, the guy's been doing this forever. Been in the UFC for 15 years, man. He has been around. I've seen the Edson Barboza run. I remember the damn knockout loss to Jamie Varner back in the day. I remember the Terry Edom knockout. I watched that shit live, you know? So I've seen all of Edson's career, and he's always been spectacular from distance. But I will say, like, Jalin Turner's size is a big factor in the fight. His hand speed, his youth. Jalin Turner should be able to knock Edson Barboza out here. I think Jalin Turner wins. The thing with Jalin is you have to worry about his mental. What happens if he's caught with a big body shot? Does he wilt if things go against him? You know, we can talk about potential intangibles, but I'll talk about what is. Jalin Turner fighting at his best versus, you know, this version of Edson Barboza at 40 fighting at his best, Jalin wins. So I will predict Jalin Turner wins, and I do favor the side of Jalin by knockout because his style is finish first. We saw Edson Barboza pretty badly hurt against Sadiq Yusuf in their fight, and like I think Jalen's power is different. Now, holy hell, the odds have continued to swell. Minus 415 for Jalin with Edson Barboza at plus 315. I do think the massive minus 415 favorite in Jalin Turner is going to go out and get the victory, but damn, wide odds, huh? My word. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see what else we got here. Over 1.5 is minus 110. That fight, I mean, shit, it could end in the first. If Jalin is back, he is live to clap Edson in one big shot. Plus 110 KO. Submissions plus 300. Maybe a clubbing sub, but I'm not crazy about it. How many subs in a row are we going to get? Turner by decision plus 500. I could see him winning a decision against Edson. Hard fought 3-round fight. Jalin landed some good strikes. Edson surviving some big exchanges, getting rocked maybe, but then coming back and having a few moments. Like I can see a 5-1 decision hitting for Jalin. I don't think that's like out of the realm of possibility. I know Jalin Turner's never won a decision. He's 0-4 on decisions, but like he has gone distance and been close. I mean, he almost got, you know, a Dan Hooker and a Gamrot decision. So, you know, just because he's never won a decision before, he's been decision, and it doesn't mean he can't win a decision now against a 40-year-old Edson. So the pick is Jalin Turner, a bit of a, you know, fat favorite at minus 415, but he should be able to go out and do the damn thing. I see him winning. I see him looking pretty good. If Edson Barboza wins, it'll be one of those like feel good stories for, a real striking legend of the UFC. But this is just not a good matchup. I actually was like, why didn't they do Edson Barboza versus Bobby Green? Like, that makes way more sense to me than Jalin Turner, the absolute freak specimen, versus Edson. I guess they're trying to give Jalin a chance to get his get back win after, pretty good moments. Listen, him versus Gamrot and him versus Dan Hooker, spectacular. Knocking out King Green, spectacular. And then the Money Moicano fight, if he goes for ground and pound, he probably wins by first round knockout. And then Bajo Mendez, he was broken against Bajo Mendez, still thinking about the Moicano fight. So, is what it is. I'll pick the side of Jalin Turner, though. I think he can knock Edson out here. Next fight on the card, Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. I was picking Bruno Ferreira earlier on in the week. Not going to say it was my most confident pick ever. It damn sure wasn't. And I was going against my Italian stallion. I always pick Vettori. And now you give me 189, overweight Bruno Ferreira, looking a little suspect on the scales. And Vettori, already I know he's got the better gas tank. Like, what's up with Bruno Ferreira missing weight? How? At 5'10", you can't make 185, dog? 5'10", you can't make the middleweight limit? You're coming in at 189? Bruno Ferreira, bro. There's bantamweights at 5'10". You see what I'm saying? Like, this is crazy. I get it, he's thick, but, like, there's obvious body fat. We'll bring it up in a second. Ferreira has the power edge, okay? Ferreira has the explosiveness advantage. Vettori has the gas tank, and I think he probably has the wrestling. Boxing-wise, Vettori is not as good, but he's a southpaw. He's tricky, and he doesn't stop. Ferreira has big shot power. This is one of those fights to really meditate for a moment on. Let's check out the scales here for both men. So, Bruno Ferreira, he doesn't look in true fight shape. He's got love handles galore. He's obviously chunky. He doesn't have much vascularity. It's not like he absolutely shredded out and just couldn't make the limit. Like, he looks overweight. And then we got Vettori looking world class. Vettori shredded as hell, coming in at a ready 186, okay? And now we got the face-off between the two. Let's look at the face-off here. The Italian Dream. He looked big at the face-off. He looked motivated and hungry at the face-off. Bruno Ferreira looked chunky. Tough fight. I don't like a Bruno Ferreira missing weight. You're like, but is it an advantage for Bruno that he missed weight? I don't think so. Bruno Ferreira hasn't, his win against Gregor Rodriguez, that's his big win, but he hasn't really beat anybody spectacular. His gas tank is shit. And now he's coming in looking fat, not out of shape. It's hard for me to pick against Marvin Vettori in general. But now when you show me chinks in the armor, I think Bruno Ferreira could be coming into this fight injured. I think Bruno Ferreira could have had a bit of a mid-training camp. I don't know where his mind is at. He opened up at what? -110. Now he's +100. Vettori sitting at, -120. The odds have been about coin flip all week. It seems like to me smart money, and I call myself Smart Money Jay, I have to, would be Vettori to win over a round and a half. I'm going to go with my gut here. I'm going to pick flip to the Italian Dream, Marvin Vettori. There is a chance that Bruno Ferreira's power is big and the weight cut, coming in at 189, maybe he looks all right. But a lot of guys been missing weight and then looking like garbage as of late. And him coming in at 189, it wasn't like, oh man, he was so close. He looked so fucking fat. He looked like shit. And to beat a guy that has fought for the title, that's fought a who's who, like, when I keep it a buck, it's Brendan Allen loss, Roman Dolidze loss, and Jared Cannonier loss. 3 elites. And then what's the other loss? Robert Whittaker, elite. He's only lost to some of the best guys in the world versus, Bruno Ferreira that did get knocked out by Nursultan Rizziboyev, did get subbed by Avis Magomedov. I'm going to trust in Marvin Vettori after the weigh-ins. I'm going to pick flip. I knew this was a possible pick flip for me even when I made the call 2 weeks ago, or nearly 2 weeks ago, 12 days ago. And now seeing the weight miss, it's like too many things pushing me to the Italian. I always pick the Italian Stallions, and now I'm going to go against it when the guy missed weight. Fuck no. Give me Marvin Vettori, all right, with karma on his side to get back on track. I think he's live to beat the wild gunslinger Bruno Ferreira. And if this fight goes over 1.5, you got to think it's Vettori's world, and nobody knocks Vettori out. Vettori and over 1.5 rounds, minus 115, you're not getting nothing. They know it. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Vettori's never been KO'd or finished as a pro, so something else to note. Vettori round 3 or decision, I think makes the most sense. I could see a gassed out Bruno Ferreira finish plus 135. Vettori round 3 or decision. Vettori via sub plus 600. A gassed out Bruno Ferreira getting beat on. Vettori's got submissions. It's just not commonality with him to win by finish, but he's got 9 sub wins. Bruno Ferreira getting subbed, gassed out, getting subbed by Vettori in round 2 or 3, plus 600 to 800 range. Vettori by sub, I think that's live. Obviously, I think Vettori by decision makes a ton of sense. Like if you're looking more for the DGen side, Vettori sub round 3 is plus 2,000. Vettori sub round 2 plus 1,800. You're looking at DGen sprinkle, and then you just went Vettori money line. I'm gonna go with Marvin Vettori. I think he might lose the first round, but as long as he can survive the big early moments, which the Iron Chin tells me he will, I think we're going to see Marvin Vettori get his hand raised. Marvin Vettori getting his hand raised. Let's go. We're going Marvin Vettori, pick flip. I'm doing it. I have to. It feels right, man. I can't justify Bruno Ferreira after the weigh-in, and it was already a pick that I felt a little bit twisted on. I will flip towards the Italian dream. Italy needs it. We got one guy in the UFC doing all right. Cheers. Cheers. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's make it happen. All right? Vettori, it's time to put it on, my man. It's time to make magic happen. Marvin Vettori to show out. Give me the W. Mamma mia. Marvin Vettori. It's time for victory. Let's go. Vittoria, Vittori. Let's go. Vettori for the W. Pick flip. I'm doing it. I don't care. I'm doing it. I have to. Next fight on the card. Ziam versus Nazim Sadykhov. I've been picking Nazim Sadykhov. Listen, he's a gangster. Yes, he's given up a shitload of height and reach. Not a shitload of height, 3 inches, but a lot of reach. My word. I like the boxing. I like the southpaw stance, and I like the grappling edge. Ziam gives up bad positions on the ground. He's been, I don't want to say lucky, but he's been lucky that nobody has capitalized lately and subbed him up. His distance kickboxing is sharp. His tie clinch work is sharp. His ground skills are okay, but I think Nazim Sadykhov with boxing could find success on the ground. I think he can win some wild striking exchanges. The thing about Nazim Sadykhov is he's got that dog grit in him, and he's got big power in his hands. I think Ziam's good, but like that Mike Davis win is nice, but it was a weird circumstance, and it was a weird performance from Davis. So like they said, they had like paint in the back. The fighters couldn't breathe, and still Ziam was on his back. You know, he knocked out Frevola. Impressive, but Frevola was on top of him a lot. Puelles split decision. Puelles was just panic wrestling. Close fight with Jai Herbert. Fig lock decision. I feel like Nazim Sadykhov is a damn tricky puzzle for Ziam, just as much as the contrary holding truth. I'm going to go with Nazim Sadykhov's boxing combination rate and the ability to potentially grapple and find dominant position. I trust in that Longo, Sarah Longo team. You know, obviously he's with Syndicate now, but like there's still, you know, Ray Longo's in the corner. They got good grappling there. I think Nazim Sadykhov is a savage, bro. 11-1-1 as a pro, 2-fight win streak, hasn't lost in the UFC yet. Sadykhov's been doing his thing for a little while, you know. He's been coming through nicely. Lost his pro debut, and that's it. So, you know, 12-fight unbeaten streak for him. I have to rate Nazim Sadykhov as the guy pulling out and showing up. And I think maybe even thriving in the fight more so. And like certain guys, they rise to the occasion. I think that might be him. Here is Ziam weighing in. He was actually supposed to fight in Paris, but unfortunately the passing of his grandmother, he pulled out. Now we get him here at 323, and he takes on a tough out against Nazim Sadykhov. This ain't no easy fight for him. Let me tell you, I think Nazim is a problem. Anywhere this fight goes, Nazim Sadykhov is a problem in this spot. There's the face-offs between the two. Obviously, you see Ziam looking real tall and lanky. Look at the difference of shoulders, bro. Shoulders into this. That's crazy. It's not like the craziest height difference ever, but look at the shoulders where they're at. The shoulders of Sadykhov are to the fucking nipple of Ziam. It's kind of wild. But I do think we can see Sadykhov catch Ziam with some punches in range and then potentially shock him with some grappling. I think it's a back and forth dogfight, competitive matchup, and like Sadykhov live for a decision, potentially like a 3rd round submission, and a bit of like a wild gunslinger type of fight. Definitely live for fight of the night here. Minus 170 for the kickboxer Fares Ziam, the dog Sadykhov plus 145. I'm going with OV as the underdog to get the victory, man. I'm going with Nazim Sadykhov. Decision is not crazy at all, but I do think Sadykhov is live to pull off, a sub around this range, plus 850, plus 900. You look at the pro record of Sadykhov, yes, you can say only 2 wins by sub, but did submit Terrence McKinney, who's a pretty good grappler. And Fares Ziam, going to be a hard guy to put away, just laying big punches on him. I'm not saying Sadykhov doesn't land some thudding shots, but to knock Fares Ziam out, tricky to do. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see what else we got here. Sadykhov, round 2 or 3 submission, plus 2,000. Honestly, that's kind of live as fuck. Why is Sadykhov most takedowns plus 160? I feel like that's live too. Spread on Sadykhov plus 165. I think he's definitely live for a 29-28. Is that the opposite spread? Is the spread mismarked on fight odds? It might be. If that's true, it's kind of wild. Do we have a Sadykhov? Where's Sadykhov ITD? Plus 225. Where's submission or decision? I kind of like that. We have a submission or decision line in front of us. I don't see it here. Here we go. Yes, we do. Submission or decision, Sadykhov, plus 250. As much as he's got power, I could see submission being the surprise or, hard fought 3-round decision. Either way, I think moneyline Sadykhov is a really live underdog bet. And I'm going to pick the side of Nazim Sadykhov to outdog the Frenchman, Fares Ziam, and pull through with the biggest W of his career and staying unbeaten inside of the UFC. We're going for Sadykhov W City up in here. Next fight on the card, ladies, Maycee Barber, Karine Silva. I've been picking the side of Karine Silva. I think that it's going to be close, but I think technically she's a little sharper in striking. Barber's a little tricky out of southpaw with her high output attack, and she is like deceptively athletic and strong, but Silva has good grappling skills, and I like her stand-up a bit more. I think it's a close fight. Probably goes all rounds. I don't like the long layoff from Maycee Barber. It's a year and 8 months, and obviously she was supposed to fight Erin Blanchfield. She pulls out right before the fight. They said panic attack. They said not medically cleared. They say issue with a fucking breast implant. So, I don't know. I don't know. I think Karine Silva's good. That Araujo fight could have went either way. Deanna Barboza's real lanky, and she had a win over Silva outside of the UFC, and then Silva beat her in that fight, regardless of it being, a bit of a toss-up and Silva on her back for some of the fight. I think this one's going to be close. It really comes down to what does Barber's output look like, and then can Karine Silva keep up the 3-round pace? I think she could. I think Karine Silva can land cleaner shots. I think Karine Silva can find some strikes through the guard of Maycee Barber. I think she's a sharper kickboxer. I like her kickboxing style more. I rate Karine Silva as more sharp, whereas Maycee Barber is more volume. There's Maycee Barber weighing in on the scales. There's Karine Silva looking like an absolute savage with killer tatted right across the damn chest or upper neck, lower neck, whatever you want to call it. I can't go against a girl with killer right there. And then the face-off was pretty intense too. High intensity at the face-off. Nose to nose. Karine Silva, prior to that Araujo fight, like people were selling her as the next champion. She was the next big thing. Loses one fight and it's now like, there's no steam on her as a prospect. I think she's still sharp. And I think she can outwork Maycee Barber. I think she's a sharper striker. I feel like she can stop takedowns. I feel like she can deal with the pressure onslaught. I think maybe she even takes Barber down. I'm going to go with Karine Silva. I could see her also being the physically stronger grappler of the two, winning the positional battle. Plus 175, Karine Silva is a dog. Minus 205 for the Maycee Barber side. Looking towards how this fight goes down. Over 2.5, minus 240, probably. The ladies are live to go distance here. Silva by sub, plus 425. Barber by KO, plus 500. Barber by decision, minus 110. Silva decision, plus 300. I feel like Karine Silva wins by decision. Probably makes more sense than the rest. But, if you look at her resume, she's got 8 KOs and then also 9 wins by sub. And you look at Maycee Barber on the other side, never been finished before. Karine Silva Southerner would be crazy impressive. It's just, I don't know. I think we're going 3 hard. And I think it could be 29-28s across the board. I do think a spread on Karine Silva, if maybe you're not necessarily feeling, oh, damn, they only have the minus 3.5. But, you know, a plus 3.5 Karine Silva, I don't think that's crazy. I don't really feel like she gets 30-27. And I don't think she's getting finished either. I think Karine Silva is pretty damn good. And I'm going to pick her to get the win in a competitive fight with Maycee Barber. Being the sharper striker, I think she'll get more shots through the guard. I just see Maycee getting stung up a bit as she's closing the gap. I don't know, man. I think Karine Silva can even get on top of Maycee Barber and win the grappling exchanges. I'm going with Karine Silva to pull this one off. I feel like the odds should be even odds, if anything, not Karine Silva as like a plus 165, plus 175 underdog. I don't agree with that at all. Next fight on the card, Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. I've been picking Chris Duncan to survive the first 3 minutes and win. And that's what you have to do. With Terrence McKinney, it's, 3 minutes of hell, 2.5 minutes really of hell. Goes beyond that, it tends to fall apart. I think Chris Duncan can survive the early onslaught, and he's live to get his shit rocked. He's live to get his back taken. But if he can survive the chaos early, I think that Terrence McKinney will, per usual, fall apart past that over half a round mark. And then Chris Duncan can start finding striking success, can start winning some exchanges, can even potentially submit Terrence McKinney here, catch him in a gilly, take his back and pound him out, and then into a rear naked strangle. I think Chris Duncan is really live to survive the chaos. And that's what it comes down to. Now, of course, there's been some weird line movement with this fight that has people thinking something else. But let's look at the scales. Terrence McKinney weighed in, looked solid. Obviously, some folks thinking that Chris Duncan didn't actually make the weight. He came in 156, right? But he didn't look like, absolute death on the scale. I thought he looked okay weighing in. I don't think he looked awful on the weigh-in. So, maybe the scale was twisted, but I don't know, man. He looked ready to go. I'm not really understanding why it's so, it's so crazy. People are like, oh, it's the other way. But now, the line is going this way. I've seen line movement online, but now I'm seeing it's going the other way again. It's a strange. The line moved back. I think Chris Duncan should pull through. I'm not swaying against my lean because of like a what if or something like that. I'm going to stick to my original breakdown, which is Duncan survives chaos and then thrives a few minutes into the fight. There's a face-off. Listen, I know what Terrence McKinney's going to do. He's going to come out fucking crazy. And his best bet is that under half a round knockout. If you like Terrence McKinney, they have an under half a round win for him at plus 475. I think that would make all the sense in the world. If you think that Duncan wins, I think he's live in the later stage of round 2, or rather, later stage of round 1, or potentially even early round 2. I'm going to pick Duncan to get the finish. Yes, this fight more than likely ends up ending inside of the distance, with McKinney slight underdog status at plus 105. Chris Duncan sitting at minus 125. Looking towards, fight goes inside distance for Duncan, it's minus 145. You're actually better off betting the money line. Under 1.5 is minus 360. Very likely that it goes under 1.5 rounds. The fight is very live to end in the first 5 minutes, really. And then I'll tell you this McKinney line, like I had talked about. McKinney and under half a round plus 475. I don't think that's crazy at all. I think this is one of those, fights where finish is just imminent on either side. Duncan by KO plus 165. Duncan by sub plus 300. I don't want to get too sub crazy, but it could end up being a sub. I think Duncan wins inside the distance, which is minus 145. Feel like he's live to go out and probably get it done. Later stage first into the second. Over half a round is minus 225 here. That's crazy. Under half a round is only plus 165. That's a Terrence McKinney fight for you. Duncan has proven he can go longer. McKinney can't. So if it goes past, that halfway mark of round number 1, look for Chris Duncan to start taking over. And obviously, Duncan has shown power before. He's got 7 knockouts, but he has been showing some gilly skills. The past 2 fights, he's been catching some necks. And I think, he could be live to catch Terrence McKinney's neck after the first 2.5 minutes as well. Obviously, could see him landing some big shots and McKinney going down. Obviously, Duncan inside distance makes sense. It's one of those fights, but you want to go, Duncan round 2. You think it goes a little longer? It's plus 375, but 1 or 2 is probably when this fight ends. I think it's definitely going under 2.5, which is minus 900. So, yeah, give me the Chris Duncan side to go out, get a finish in, the biggest spot of his, this is bigger than the Rebeshki win, even though McKinney's kind of been spoon-fed, though. Like, all of McKinney's wins are against, like, the flawed skill set guys, whereas, like, Duncan is actually pretty good. I think Chris Duncan is going to show out. So give me Chris Duncan to pull this one off. I got him beating Terrence McKinney here. Next fight on the card is our featured prelim, is Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. I've been picking Manuel Torres not only to win, but obviously to win by first round KO. As much as Grant Dawson has gotten better at striking and him having very high caliber ground skills, I think that Manuel Torres' striking is really a bad matchup for Grant Dawson. Manuel Torres is kind of a straight punching killer with pressure. And Grant Dawson's head is on the center line a good amount. I see shots getting through from Manuel Torres right down the center. And I think he could sting Grant Dawson up bad early in the fight. We've seen Dawson KO twice in like 30 seconds or less. Got to worry about the Dawson chin when a big shot lands. And he's taken on a serious puncher in Manuel Torres. I mean, Torres' game is violence. That's it. It's knockout. He knows nothing else besides chaotic violence on the feet. Where Torres has a chance to show us something is takedown defense, grappling defense. How is he going to look? Grant Dawson, in an interview, said his plan is, to hump the leg of Manuel Torres. Just embrace the grind, wrestle, lay and pray, which that's smart work for Grant Dawson. Get on top, control position, and grind out a win. At any point this fight is striking, Manuel Torres is live, not only to win, but like to violently knock out Grant Dawson on the feet. There is a wide gap in striking difference. There's also, on paper, a wide gap in grappling, but we haven't necessarily seen a lot of Manuel Torres grappling. He does have 2 submission losses with leg entanglements outside of the UFC. He is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu now, so I feel like Manuel Torres could be deceptive in the takedown defense area. And then when we're talking about striking, this big pop on the Manuel Torres side, big straight punches and a pressure-based style that I think matches up fairly well against the forward pressure, wrestling, takedown, control, submission threat onslaught of Grant Dawson. I'm going Manuel Torres by violence here. There's Torres looking shredded up and jacked on the scale, ready to go. Grant Dawson, I will say, he had a hell of a weight cut. He needed the box to make that weight. He definitely, struggled a bit. Not like Grant Dawson doesn't normally have a bit of a tricky weight cut here at 155. It's not like he's small for the weight class, but I don't know, man. I think Manuel Torres is live to test that chin. That hard weight cut for Grant Dawson and then a big punch from Manuel Torres. I think Torres is live to put his lights out. There's the face-off between the two. I think Grant Dawson's getting slept, man. I think it's a big right hand from Manuel Torres, but it could also be an elbow. I mean, it could be Dawson shooting and then the, downward elbows from Torres as Dawson's trying to grab a leg and he goes out. I think Dawson's chin is a little suspect and against an explosive puncher. And I'd say, right, without argument, really the biggest puncher he's ever fought in his pro career. I have to favor the knockout hitter over the pressure grappler. So give me Manuel Torres to win, and not only win, but win by KO. Plus 210. He's a big underdog, and he's been getting wider as a dog. Grant Dawson minus 250. I think Manuel Torres is going to shut him off with the big straight shot. Manuel Torres is a laser beam. If Grant Dawson's winning, it's live to go over 1.5. I don't think Dawson's just guaranteed to just sub him if they hit the ground either. Let's see. Torres by KO plus 275. I do think Torres gets the knockout. I do think Torres is very live to get the first round KO, sitting at plus 450. And you got to respect Torres pulling off that win against, Duncan the way that he did, subbed him up. And like people forget with Torres, he's got 7 submission wins. So I don't think Torres is this awful grappler. Like it seems like people are acting like he's just a dead fish on the ground. I think Duncan's a dead fish while they strike. Torres club and sub. Can you imagine Torres club and sub rocks the shit out of Dawson, proves a point, strangles him plus 1,000? Not saying that's my pick. My pick is KO, but like it's not the craziest take ever. Torres inside distance plus 200. The best call is Manuel Torres down the center if you like the underdog. If you agree with what I'm saying, you go Manuel Torres on the money line as an underdog at plus 210, live to knock the fuck out of Grant Dawson. But just recognize he's got 7 sub wins. Like nothing tells me he's a bankrupt grappler if they do end up hitting the ground. Or, you know, if he hurts Dawson on the feet, it wouldn't be the craziest shit ever if Manuel Torres wants to strangle a guy known for good grappling and kind of prove a point, which, you know, it sits at plus 1,000. Not the wildest outcome either, if that's something that you're thinking. At the end of the day, you don't need to chase props though, because you literally got plus 210 Manuel Torres right in your face as an underdog. If he goes out and wins, which I think he does, if he goes out and wins in the first round, which I think he does, like, and it's not like it isn't live later. Not like, you know, I'm saying, oh, Torres got no cardio. It could end up going into the later stages. Manuel Torres could end up knocking him out in the 3rd round. Like, we don't know with Manuel. He has the chance to really show us the entire skill set. But what I do know is he has the power to separate Grant Dawson from consciousness, and I don't think he's bankrupt on the ground. Whereas I know Dawson's chinny. So give me Manuel Torres, give me knockout win. Next fight, main card opener. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and be sure to hype the video too. We got Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. Listen, I'm going Hitman for the W. Bogdan Guskov. I think he's knocking Jan Blachowicz out. I think Blachowicz's wear and tear and age is finally catching up to him. And I think it was disguised in his fight against Carlos Ulberg because it was a very tit-for-tat tactical kickboxing fight. Bogdan Guskov is going to put pressure on Jan Blachowicz, is going to look to bring big punch combinations, back him up against the cage, pin him, and rip him. And I think Bogdan Guskov has the boxing chops and the knockout power to separate Blachowicz from consciousness and go scorched earth on his ass. I really think Bogdan Guskov is the one to keep an eye on here in this light heavyweight division. And I think his speed is a factor. He's light on his feet. He's explosive with big punches. I get it. Oh, but he's going to get hit in the legs. Okay, so he gets kicked in the legs. What happens if Blachowicz doesn't stop him with leg kicks? Then Guskov just lands one thudding shot on the chin. I think the nearly 43-year-old Jan Blachowicz is getting knocked out. I'm going Guskov. I'm going KO. I think he's going to absolutely buzzsaw through Jan Blachowicz and like put the whole division on notice here, because with these older guys, there is a way these older guys survive. It's, you know, the paced fight, the technical fight, but then it's the dog fight where you see them blitzed and pulverized. And I think that is exactly what we're looking at with Bogdan Guskov versus Jan Blachowicz. I think a missile from Guskov is going to sleep Jan Blachowicz on the feet. I like the boxing style of Guskov with the pressure combinations, with the big hooks. I also think Guskov is deceptively good on the ground. I trust in the grappling defensive abilities, trained alongside Volta Walker, and he says good things about Guskov. And I think hand speed's a factor. And I think Blachowicz's age will show itself. And we're going with the side of Bogdan Guskov, not just to win, but to win violently. I'm predicting he wins by knockout. There's Guskov weighing in, looking ready to go to war, in shape, ready to rock. There's Jan Blachowicz. Dog, you can't tell me Jan Blachowicz doesn't look older. You can't tell me he hasn't lost a bit of muscle mass and he hasn't gained a little bit of maybe loose skin, maybe pudge. Come on. This is not the Jan Blachowicz of prime. This is a nearly 43-year-old man. I'm going with the side of Bogdan to knock him out. Bogdan reminds me of Fyodor when he looks down, and Blachowicz was having nothing of it. He wanted to look in his eyes. Good face-off between the two. I'm telling you, man, I really think Jan Blachowicz's chin is getting shut off. I really think he's getting caught. I think we're going to see Guskov's hand speed is a big factor. He's going to unload some pulverizing shots on the side of Jan Blachowicz. And I think Bogdan Guskov is knocking him out in pretty impressive fashion. And I really do believe it's going to put the light heavyweight division on notice, man. Minus 115. Guskov was the underdog all week. The line has flipped now. Bogdan Guskov is a slight favorite. Jan Blachowicz at minus 105 is a slight underdog. Essentially even Stevens money down the line between the two. Obviously, I think this fight is live to go under 2.5, being that I'm expecting a finish. I think it's live for under 1.5. I'm expecting a knockout in the first. Guskov by KO sits at plus 225, plus 230. How you take out the older man is you put pressure on him early. We haven't seen Blachowicz win in a long time. Alexander Rakic 3.5 years ago. Before that, I lost to Glover. Like, Can we just be honest? Like, okay, draw with Ankalaev 3 years ago. Oh my God, almost beat Pereira 2.5 years ago. All right, Allberg decision. Maybe he could have got it. Allberg fought his pace of a fight. This is not what Guskov is doing. Guskov is looking to separate him from consciousness. So I'm going Guskov by KO. And I do think Guskov knocks him out in the first round. It's plus 550. Now, obviously, Guskov could be deceptive on the ground, maybe shows some ground skills in this one. So if you want to maybe hedge towards the safer side, you're like, yo, give me Guskov inside distance, plus 170. I know some folks are thinking decision for Guskov, but I do favor the side of him stopping Jan Blachowicz here. He's not a bad money line bet, even money essentially. You can still find him at an underdog status at some spots, but really, we're looking at 50-50 on the lines here, and I really like Bogdan Gushkov's chances, and I think he's going to knock out the 43-year-old Jan Blachowicz, and I feel damn good about Bogdan Gushkov. Favorite underdog so far on the card in Bogdan, and obviously now he's a slight favorite at some books or even money. Regardless, I think Gushkov is a very, very good money line call, and I do predict that the knockout prop should also hit. So I favor him by KO over anything else. Could he end up shocking for a sub? He's not bankrupt on the ground, no, but I do favor the side of Gushkov to separate Jan Blachowicz from consciousness and knock him unconscious. So Bogdan Gushkov, knockout. Confident prediction here for me. I'm feeling good about it. Next fight on the card, we have Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbott. This is Henry Cejudo's farewell fight. He's retiring after this. I think Peyton Talbott is going to show out in this spot. I predict that Peyton Talbott's going to look pretty good in this matchup here with Henry Cejudo. He's got a big height and reach advantage. I think Henry Cejudo was wearing heels at the damn press conference because they looked a lot closer in height than they did at the damn face-offs today during the ceremonials, and you'll see in a moment. Peyton Talbott's going to be sharp from the outside. Peyton Talbott's stand-up is good. He might get taken down a few times, but I think he'll be able to get up. I don't think Cejudo's just embracing the grind and wrestle fucking him. I don't think it's going to be easy to do. Cejudo's also almost 39. Already has a foot out the door. He's retiring after the fight. Like, how can I pick that against a 27-year-old that's showing evolution, that looked good against Lima last time? Yes, the Barcelos fight. I get it. I think Talbot overlooked Barcelos, and Barcelos is deceptively good. I think Peyton Talbot should be able to outstrike Henry Cejudo. I think Talbot should look sharp from range, should connect with some good shots. I think if they do tie up, Cejudo probably can get him down, but Talbot could get up. I think Talbot could throw some shots from bottom. I don't know, man. I think Henry Cejudo, he's going to look his age now. He's going to show the signs of slowing down. I think Talbot could catch Cejudo with some big punches, too. Cejudo, it's not like he can't box, though. I mean, he had a boxing background with the wrestling. I just think Peyton Talbot's going to be sharp from long range. I think Peyton Talbot's going to look pretty on point. I like Peyton Talbot's chance. I think the chance is high of Peyton Talbot shutting down and aging Cejudo. There's Talbot on the scale. Looks ready to go. Biggest fight of his life. Henry Cejudo obviously had a difficult weight cut, but, the last one was able to grind on through. What's interesting is these two have hung out. These two have trained together at Cejudo's house. See what I'm saying, though? The height difference between the two at the face-off. Like, Cejudo looks like a dwarf at the damn face-off. Little mini-me action. And then obviously Talbot just staring into his soul. I think Peyton Talbot is going to be a sharp shooter from distance. I think Peyton Talbot's going to be clean with the long range strikes. I think Peyton Talbot's going to have some success in close range with maybe some elbows on the inside. I think his power is a factor. I think he could end up hurting Cejudo with like teeps and knees to the body. And with Cejudo retiring after this one, like, I have no idea where the intentions lie. I think Talbot should be able to show out in this one and get the biggest win of his life. I think knockout or decision make the most sense. I lean towards decision because it's not like Cejudo's been easy to put away during his fighting career. And then we'll look at the betting lines. Talbot stayed around minus 255 all week with Cejudo sitting at plus 215. I'm going towards, the Talbot side to go out and handle. Over 2.5 is minus 235. I mean, yeah, Talbot does have the, fight-ending power on his side. KO is plus 210, but Cejudo's always had a bit of a blockhead. To the body is where I think Talbot could maybe stop him, but I really emphasize the maybe. Plus 110 for the Talbot decision. One of those fights, man. Like, Cejudo in his prime is a different animal. Cejudo now, I don't know where he's at. I think, like, at worst, Talbot could nab a 29-28, but he might 30-27 an unmotivated Cejudo. And Talbot gets it on the scorecards pretty clearly. I think at minus 255, Talbot becomes something you could consider two-leg parlaying. Not necessarily crazy about the props because Talbot is a knockout hitter and he has a chance for a KO, but my brain tells me decision is more likely. If you want to consider like, okay, well, I don't think he's going to win by submission, Talbot KO or decision, well, you're not getting much. It's minus 250. You're better off this minus 255 down the money line. So I'll lean towards Talbot on the judges' scorecards, though, as the official pick, but I could see a body TKO or something like that from the side of Talbot. And an aging Cejudo, how much more does he have? I think instead, though, Cejudo has a couple moments, Talbot has a few more, and Talbot takes 29-28 on the judges' scorecards and pulls off a unanimous decision. So Talbot going to be the prediction to defeat the aging Henry Cejudo in his retirement fight. Next fight, feature fight of the night. Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira. I think this one is razor close, and I think Taira is going to win the fight with back takes. I think Taira is going to be able to find Brandon Moreno's back a few times throughout the fight, garnering some control time and threatening with that rear naked choke, which I think should be the difference maker between the two. Brandon Moreno is a good Mexican-style boxer. He's got a long, straight right that he rips. He's got decent slugs in range with big power punches, but not like a knockout hitter like, Bogdan Guskov. But Moreno can rip some shots. He's got heavy kicks to the body. He's definitely deceptively good at striking. He's not one to be underrated in kickboxing at all. But on the flip side, Tatsuro Taira is kind of known just primarily as a grappler, but he actually has really fast hands. He's got good straight shots down the line. And then with the ability to take backs, he's got a knack for getting people's back. Brandon Moreno's a good wrestler, but that typical wrestling style, I think Taira can counter that. I think Taira can find the back on that. I think Taira can win the grappling exchanges against Moreno. I think the striking is maybe Moreno's best bet, boxing and turn it into a dogfight. But I do think Taira's athleticism and speed could end up being a positive factor for him. And then with the chance of taking the back of Moreno, that seems kind of high for me. I think that we're going to see Tatsuro Taira secure a hard-fought decision. I think Moreno lands some big shots. I think he puts Taira's chin to the test. I don't know about Taira's head movement being elite, but I definitely think he can fire some fire shots back after getting caught by a big Moreno punch too. There's Taira on the scale, but I do think Taira's going to end up taking the back. There's Moreno on the other side. I think Moreno is going to be maybe better at wrestling, but it ain't going to be pure wrestling. It's going to be different entries into the grappling. I think Taira is the quicker grappler. Taira has faster transition speed on the ground. Taira gets to position more naturally, quicker. Like, I don't know. Taira has this knack for taking backs. I'm going to pick Tatsuro Taira to go out and win a hard-fought decision, and I will predict that he secures the back of Brandon Moreno a couple of times. If he pulls off a submission, Taira's stock jumps a ton. Now, I have not always picked Taira. I picked against him with Royval. My dog lock was Royval, and I was right. But I do think now he's ready. And I do think now he's going to pass the, big test of his fighting career. And I think he's going to beat Moreno. Minus 124 for Taira. It's a 50-50 fight. And the odds are close for a reason. Plus 104 for Moreno. I do lean towards this fight going over 2.5 rounds, which is minus 325. I also think that, very probable this thing could even potentially end in a split decision. My prediction is Taira by decision at plus 135. If Taira were to pull off a sub, that's a big deal at plus 550, but Moreno grappling defense is incredible. I just don't think Taira ends up finishing the job, though I think he gets to the position. I think Taira by split decision plus 550 is actually really live. I think this fight is very live to end in a competitive split decision. And I see Taira as the guy getting his hand raised at the end. And then looking towards some of the prop bet inside, Taira most takedowns is actually minus 260. Wow. Taira most give his strikes plus 150. Let's see. What else do we got here? Moreno is the 3.5 minus 225. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think this thing is really live to end up being a close, hard-fought battle on the scorecards. And I think Taira's small positional winning efforts are going to be what gets him the decision ultimately. So Taira to win, competitive decision, and I'll say split decision makes a ton of sense. I'm taking Taira 29-28 against Brandon Moreno in a very competitive fight and the biggest win of Taira's fighting career as well. And he'll snap Moreno's 2-fight winning streak that he's currently riding. And Taira getting back on business, putting 2 in a row together and putting himself in the position to potentially fight for the belt, or if not, incredibly close to it. Co-main event, Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van. It's for all the marbles. This is the people's main event, and it is the flyweight title on the line. I am predicting Joshua Van, and I think people seem to think that there is no chance of it. There is no chance. People underrate Joshua Van a lot in this fight. I think they feel like he's just getting buzzsawed like Kai Asakura, like Kai Kara-France, right? They're looking past the Steve Erceg, who fought fearless in that fight and pushing Pantoja and nearly getting it done. Obviously, low fight IQ moment, going for the takedown at the end, sold them the fight. Joshua Van ain't shooting no low IQ takedown. He's looking to put pressure on Alexandre Pantoja and land big punch combinations. Pantoja is 35. Approaching the 36 mark, okay? Joshua Van, 24, young as fuck and improving at a rapid rate. 15-2 pro and has gone on a tear in 2025. And listen, he is a very special fighter in Joshua Van. I really believe he has some of the best boxing combinations in the game, strings punches together beautifully to the body and head. The way you beat Alexandre Pantoja is you cannot fear being taken down. You cannot be intimidated by the grappling threat. Kai Kara-France has 11 losses. Kai Asakura has lost before, and he went on to continue to lose outside of the Pantoja fight, getting grapple fucked. Joshua Van, I think, is just a little different. He's a little crazier than the rest. I feel like Joshua Van is going to close that gap, ripping some big power shots. I think Pantoja is looking to wrestle. Van will defend. I think Pantoja could get him down. I think Pantoja could potentially get the back of Van, but we will see Van with good hand fighting and submission defense from the compromised position on the floor. I don't think that's a crazy take at all. He's young. He's just going to get submitted. I think it's almost like the element of him being naive and young is why I like him more in this fight. I think that Joshua Van is going to push a boxing heavy, high output pace on Alexandre Pantoja. I think this fight could end up being a pretty crazy back and forth battle and a lot of striking. I know for a fact Alexandre Pantoja has better offensive jiu-jitsu. And I know for a fact that Joshua Van has better boxing in combination. Yes, for sure. Where I'm interested to see is the takedown defense of Van and the get-up game of Van. What happens when Pantoja is failing takedowns, forced into a dogfight on the feet, and then Van does not stop? Another element of Joshua Van is we're looking at his win against Brandon Royval, and that was spectacular. I called him as well. And he was coming in on real short notice. And besides him coming in on short notice, okay, he pushed a hard pace, stole that fight late after, fighting 3 hard a few weeks before against Bruno Silva. The body's got some wear and tear on it. Now he had a little break, 5 months off. How much improvement does a 24-year-old make in 5 months? Joshua Van is coming into this fight, I think, better than ever before. Whereas Pantoja, is he the same? He's been fighting guys in Kai Kara-France and Kai Asakura that are tremendously flawed. They don't have the upside. They lost to him on, Ultimate Fighter in Kai Kara-France. And Kai Asakura, like, he had the hype from Japan, but he didn't have confidence on the ground. And they look for one shot, whereas Van's throwing a ton of shots. I predict Joshua Van is going to shock Alexandre Pantoja with big punch combinations. He'll potentially stop him. I do think he could shock him with big punch combos and get the TKO, but I could see Van winning a hard-fought 5-round war, fighting off takedown attempts, getting back up to the feet, landing big shots, backing Pantoja up, cracking him. I think Joshua Van is going to absolutely show up for a 25-minute bloodbath in a violent war. And I think Joshua Van is going to be the one that gets it over the 35-year-old Alexandre Pantoja. And I think that they probably do an immediate rematch between the two. I'm going with Joshua Van. I think the element of him being naive, they say ignorance is bliss. He hasn't been around that long. He's had a lot of fights now because he's fighting all the time. But he hasn't been around that long. He doesn't have that fear of these opponents. The fearless Van versus the cannibal. If there's anybody that can slay the cannibal, it's a fearless fighter in Joshua Van. The nicknames are beautiful in this fight. I think it's a summary of what this fight is early. There's Van on the scale looking solid. Pantoja on the scale looking solid as well. But I think Pantoja is going to be beat. It's like they act like he's unbeatable. I've watched him on The Ultimate Fighter. I've seen him lose before. I saw him lose fights. He's really good. But it doesn't mean Joshua Van can't. It's like everybody's acting like it's not possible. Like this Islam Makhachev, and it's just a damn sure guarantee. I don't think so. I think Joshua Van's coming in hungry and ready. And I think that his punch output and boxing combinations are going to give Pantoja the most difficult challenge of his championship reign. And I don't think he's passing this one. I'm going and new champ Joshua Van. Give me the savage dog lock. Give me Van for the W with the boxing combinations and the grappling defense, the scramble ability, and a tricky frame to submit with that short and stockier build. I think Joshua Van's going to show out and put the division on notice with a massive upset win in this fight right here. I'm feeling good about it too. As far as the odds, he's a plus 185 underdog. Give me Van all day. Pantoja, minus 220 on the opposite side. I'm a Van's witness. I have been all the way through and through, and I'll continue to be. And I feel like he's going to go out and handle Alexandre Pantoja. You can just money line it. You don't need to chase anything else. You want to chase something else? Maybe you're like, oh, shit, do I want to go? Well, you want to go Van by KO plus 450? Listen, he's got 25 minutes to do it. But Pantoja does have a very good chin. I think Van's actually ready to win a hard-fought decision at 5-1. And people are going to say it's crazy, but I don't think that's wild. I don't think that's crazy at all. I think Van by KO or decision makes a ton of sense. Let's see what that looks like here. Van by KO or decision, plus 225. I think that makes the most sense. Could Van knock him out? Absolutely. He predicted a knockout in the first 3, but obviously that doesn't mean he isn't ready to push 5 hard. I think he's really going to shock some people. I think you're going to say, wow, Joshua Van's a different beast. Light on his feet. Big punch combinations, a different ability to string shots together than anybody else. 5-1 odds for a decision, plus 450 for the side of KO for Van. I am leaning towards 5-round war and him winning. If he knocks Pantoja out, that's even crazier. But Pantoja does have a sturdy chin. I could see Van hurting him, winning some wild exchanges, but then still them going 5 hard rounds in a good 25-minute back-and-forth battle Joshua Van is on the right side of. I'm going Joshua Van and new in the co-main event. Next fight, main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hype the video as well. Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan 2. They run it back, and is it a rinse and repeat? Maybe. But I also think it could be a little bit better this time. Merab has collected a lot of data from the first fight where he was able to push hard on Petr Yan. And obviously, I know a lot of the rumor mill is Yan fought that fight with a broken hand, but the other side of it is Merab fought that fight with a broken hand. Merab has been unstoppable during his championship reign with unstoppable pressure, relentless pressure, whatever you want to call it. The machine pressure is just different. He's also had this limitless cardio where he can consistently push a high pace. I think that Merab Dvalishvili is going to put pressure on Petr Yan early. I think he's going to look to take him down early. I think Yan's takedown defense can hold up on 1, 2, and then 3 gets him down, or even 4 gets him down, or then he's pressed up against the cage. I think Merab is going to make this a difficult fight for Petr Yan with that consistent pressure, the forward striking blitzes, and not giving him any space. Petr Yan is very calculated. He's like a fighter that makes his reads, right? He needs a second. You give him a little space, and he can make magic happen. You don't give him any space, he doesn't have time to make his reads. Now, obviously, he's doing a lot of film study, of course. But there's something different about when you get in there versus when you watch it. I think Merab Dvalishvili is going to be the relentless pressure that is too much for Petr Yan again. The question is, can Merab be the first guy to win by finish? I know he wants to, and I'll say this. Merab has improved the most, I believe, in his submission grappling area. I think he could surprise Yan with the sub in the rematch. I don't think that's a wild take. Obviously, Petr Yan training his ass off. Everybody overlooking Yan. He's a terrifying force. I mean, the reason Henry Cejudo retired the first time is because of him. But now, like, he's, looking at it as a no challenge. This is just a walk in the park for Merab. And I do think Merab goes out and wins and dominates. But it's not because Petr Yan's not a savage. It's because Merab is different. He's a different animal than the rest. Petr Yan's a sensational boxer. He's got great striking combinations, but I just don't think any of his recent wins tell me that he can stop the machine. I think the machine keeps on buzzing through, and I think he's going to be able to back Yan up, land big wild punches, take him to the ground, beat him up a little bit. Yan will get back up, but he's going to be getting worn out. Merab, I don't want to say he's unbeatable. Any man could be beaten. But the way that Merab has the relentless pressure and the limitless cardio, how the fuck do you really beat that? You got a one-punch KO him, and his chin seems sturdy. He's taken some big shots in his career and survived. Recovery is out of this world because he's in such great shape. I think we see Merab beat Petr Yan again. I think Merab's going to be too much for him with the pressure, not giving him enough time to think, enough time to make his reads, and enough room to work. I think Merab and still And I do think potentially gets a dominant position on the ground where he can look for some type of front headlock or potentially a rear naked strangle. There's Petr Yan on the scale, looks in shape, ready to rock and roll. Obviously trying to bring the belts home for the family. He's got the 2 boys at home. He's got the wife. Listen, Petr Yan's sensational, but it's Merab though. But it's Merab. He lit a fire under Merab's ass more than before after he was giving him a hard time about Merab not getting any girls in the hot tub during the damn press conference. Merab looked crazy on the scale. You know what's wild is how Merab cuts weight. Like, he just doesn't drink any water or eat anything. Like, he does it like nobody else. And then the badass face-off to cap it all off. Yan didn't want to take the jacket off. He kept the hat on. He kept the jacket off. And Merab showed up shirtless. Intense face-off between the two, staring into each other's souls. I feel like Merab, even though he won the first one, it's like you can feel like he still has something to prove against Petr Yan. It's a bit of a bully to Merab, honestly. And I think that we're going to see Merab prove it again. And I think he can do it even better this time. I think Merab's definitely improved since the first fight. Not that Yan hasn't, but Merab is different. Merab Dvalishvili to continue the reign of chaos and defeat Petr Yan for a second time is my prediction. And obviously the bookies agree. He's a minus 415 favorite. Plus 315 on the opposite side for Petr Yan. Yes, very wide. Merab, you're not really money lining it. Maybe a 2-leg parlay in it. I do think he goes out and shuts down the striking game of Petr Yan. And, you know, does something similar last time. But there is a chance that this time he finds the submission. I don't think it's crazy. I'm looking at this all week. Plus 900, plus 850, plus 1,050. Like, Merab by sub, if he is to finish, where his intention is finished, if he is to finish, option A is sub. I don't think he's knocking Petr Yan out with punches or even ground and pound. I think he'd be catching him in transition with a submission like he did O'Malley. So that's not the craziest take ever. At plus 850, that's wild for a champion known for dominance on the ground to be that big plus money for a sub call and then minus 285 decision. You're better off going for the damn submission. I think Merab is very live to clear the spread as well. Let's see what the minus 5.5 is. Minus 160. I think we're live for 50 45s, 49 46s across the board. If Yan was able to make this close and like lose a split decision or even, you know, 48 47s across the board, I think that would actually be a bit of a surprise here. So I do think Merab minus 5.5 spread is live to clear as well in this spot. I'm not going to throw a Mystic Mac round. I think the most sensible call about this fight is Merab Dvalishvili to win either by decision or by submission. And 4-1 odds reflect exactly that. But when you look at with the 4-1 odds, you're like, well, fuck. If you want to go wins by decision, you got minus 285. But the submission on the opposite end, plus 850 range. You're looking for the D-Gen call. You're looking for the big plus money. Merab by sub is not the craziest thing ever against Yan. Obviously, Yan, not a guy that's been finished before, but doesn't mean he can't be, especially against a guy like Merab, who just breaks people with the relentless onslaught. So I am predicting and still champ Merab Dvalishvili, and I do feel like he's live to win this sub. I feel like plus 850 makes no sense to me. So if you're on the gambling side, that sub call, live to win by sub. Could it be 50-45 decision? Absolutely. But he could sneak a sub through after getting all the data from the first fight. He beat O'Malley more impressively in the rematch. Why not more impressively here against Petr Yan? I think it's possible, maybe even probable. And I like what he said. He said he's going to show Yan no mercy. Fuck yeah. Merab Dvalishvili and still bantamweight champ, the last championship fight of the year, and Merab takes it home and breaks the record with 4 title defenses in 1 year, which is absolutely crazy. W Merab to get it done. Those are the predictions for the full card, but we're not done yet. I do want to talk about some of the parlays on the table. Now, what you see there is more of the D-Gen parlay slate, but what I will actually do is, first bring up the more calm calls. So some of the more calm calls. Now, I feel like there has been a little bit of a shift here because Mairon Santos has to worry you after missing weight. I was real confident all week. I don't love how he on the scale, but I do think he wins. You know, you have some of these lock cities, safer calls. I do think that, like, you know, Merab Turner makes a lot of sense. Do I have the Merab Turner line in here? I'm going to add that in after Baraniewski, Turner, and Duncan. But, you know, Duncan, you worry a little. I feel like why post weigh-in, I like the dog stuff with Guskov, Sadykhov. Like, I think there's a lot of sense to be had. And we'll bring up some of the D-Gen stuff real quick. But I do want to cook up my own magic here today and not just go off what was, but rather what is now. You know, Van, Guskov, Sadykhov, Torres is insane. It's all underdog savagery. All underdog mayhem. Van and Guskov plus 556, I think, is live. Santos decision, Guskov KO. Obviously, I think that is live still, regardless. And some of the more degenerate shit that you can see, the Guskov and Torres KOs plus 1200. Van, Guskov, Turner, and Santos plus 1124 live. Like, you know, a lot of these make sense. But I like to cook up something special live on the show for you guys and not just talk about what was, because we already went over all that shit. But instead, after the weigh-ins, what are some thoughts that I'm having? So something that I was thinking after the weigh-ins, I do think Iwo Baraniewski is very live to win. I feel as though Iwo Baraniewski with Jalin Turner on the slate, minus 108, live to pull through. I think you can also say, well, if you believe in Merab at the top, you got plus 140 on, you know, 3 of the more, you know, confident calls on the card. Now, if you're like, yeah, I'd rather go value side, though, you throw Guskov as a dog with Baraniewski and Turner, you got plus 284. You don't even want to play the young Baraniewski up in here. Maybe you're not crazy about betting down on guys making a debut. Turner and Guskov is actually not bad at all. Where the fuck is the card, man? I'm losing the card here. Turner, Guskov, plus 150. Let's remove Turner, though. What's Guskov and Van now? Plus 510. With Merab at the top. Plus 663, main card savagery. That is the main card savagery. Over 2.5. Plus 880. Oh, I can make magic happen on this main card. I think magic is live to happen on this main card. All right, let's see here. You believe in Vettori after the weigh-in? I kind of do. After the weigh-in, Vettori, Turner, Baraniewski, plus 267. Adding in Malik is nothing. What about Malik ITD? Doesn't really do much, but plus 340. Honestly, though, this is live at plus 340. Malik somehow won a decision. I'd be pissed off, though. So, you know, maybe that's your sign not to play it. Santos to win plus 408 if you still believe in him. And obviously, you know, if you like Vettori after the weigh-in and you said, Bruno Ferreira is a bit of a scrub, fucking goes out, misses weight, not something that you necessarily want to bet on. Now, if you want to go a little more degen with it, Baraniewski, I do think he wins by finish, minus 134 for Baraniewski inside distance. If you still want to play Santos, I'll leave him out for now, but you could go decision for him. And then if you're like, okay, what else do I like? Well, Guskov to win by KO. I like the chance of that. Plus 406 for those two to hit. I think that makes a lot of sense here. And with Merab at the top, plus 533. That's a sneaky little play. That's a sneaky little one, man. Then if you threw in the side of Vettori as well, plus 1108. That's not even wild. Like, this seems sensible to me. Jalin Turner, plus 723. With them, Vettori, plus 1471. Don't like Vettori. Because, like, you know, with Duncan, I think he's live to get it done past the first. Of course. It's not like the confidence is swaying. I'm just telling you different things. Paying Talbott to win, plus 1052. But then somebody wins, you know, by a decision. And then next thing you know it, you're fucked on all ends. So at the end of the day, straight money line parlays are your highest likelihood of success. Like Merab and Jalin Turner, around minus 160. You want to add in Iwo Baraniewski, you believe in the prospect to win, bam, plus 150, 3-leg, live to hit. This doesn't surprise me at all. This makes a lot of sense. Does it make too much sense? Maybe. Now, I will do a singular cycle parlay for you right here, if that's what you want. We'll believe in Santos on the judges' scorecards, okay? Santos to win via decision, all right? Plus 100 with the side of the powerful Bogdan Guskov to win via KO. I believe in my guy Bogdan, okay? Plus 500 with those two. Now, we need a submission in the bunch. I have mentioned a couple subs. You got Merab Yan sub, possibility but scary. Sadykhov sub, possibility but scary. Is it wild if we went with fucking Malik by sub, though? At the end of the day, you're better off going with an inside distance. But for the sake of the degeneracy, plus 4,700, Malik sub, Santos decision, Guskov KO. But no, there is definitely a chance that he ends up winning instead by KO, then submission, and then you're pissed. If you think Baraniewski is live to go out and maybe showcase some sub skills, again, you got plus 3,500. If instead you like inside distance, plus 948. But you could just run it with Santos by decision and Guskov KO. I feel like you're live to go out and just hit with that and not have to add extra stress to your goddamn life. Now, if you like Marab by submission, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to go for the fucking guns a-blazing. He's got 25 minutes to do it, plus 5,900 for that D-Gen cycle call. All right? All right. You picking up what I'm putting down? Plus 1,045. You can go fucking nuts, man. It can all go too crazy. So my, best advice, if you're throwing heat down, make sure you're doing your research. Keep it chill. Or if you're going crazy, make sure you ain't throwing your fucking house on it. At the end of the day, you still got to have somewhere to sleep Sunday night or later Saturday if things go awry. But I'm confident and highly confident in my calls throughout this week. And I definitely think like Joshua Van is deceptive. But at the end of the day, you can just money line it. Guskov goes out and wins, slight underdog. But you can just money line it. You want to parlay it, you can. You could just go Talbott here, Marab there. What the fuck? Like this probably hits. You're probably looking at success at plus 128. And you're like, yo, also let me go Vettori, bam, plus 334. And if you're like, all right, let me throw Guskov. Now you got plus 769. You're like, oh shit, Van, plus 2550. You don't want Guskov as a dog, or do you want Guskov? Let me take out, what the fuck, Grant Dawson? Take out Guskov. You still got plus 334. You believe in Baraniewski? You believe in a prospect? Bam, plus 568. You believe in Santos regardless of the weight miss, right? You got plus 835. You don't like Baraniewski, you still got plus 508. You do, bam, plus 835, all right? Like, you can go out of control with some D-Gen calls. You're like, yo, give me Guskov now, plus 1770. Yo, give me Van, bro, I believe, plus 5605. You can go wild. You keep it chill. Do what you got to do, but make sure you're doing your own research. At the end of the day, I'm telling you what I'm thinking, and I can just hypothesize based on what I know. So, best way to win, line up your research or mine and see where we meet in the middle. And then you can make some magic happen, all right? Just throwing a couple bucks, blindly tail, different convo. But if you're really attacking with heat, you should probably do yourself some due diligence too. I hope you guys enjoyed this weigh-in recap show, little Santa Claus theme. I had the whole shtick together for the damn live stream watch along for the ceremonial weigh-ins, but I couldn't stand that beard, man. I'd be sweating too much for this damn show. I hope you guys liked it. Smash the likes if you're new, subscribe, hype the damn video, share the damn video, W in the comments if you got nothing to say, but definitely let me know in the comments what you thought of my predictions, whether you agree or disagree. I want to hear from you. You think Van's pulling through? You a Van's witness? Who's with me? You know, in the comments down below. I love you guys. I'll be live for the full card, so make sure you tune in, and also make sure you turn on your post notifications so you don't miss a notification for when I go live for the full card. All right? Thank you guys for watching. Last pay-per-view of the year, maybe last pay-per-view ever, at the very least last numbered event of this year, but a fight night next week, so at least it ain't over for the year. I'll still be doing content throughout the break, though, so stay keeping it locked in with me. I got some streams, some gaming streams, some video, etc., and I'll make magic happen without the UFC to keep you guys entertained, all right? While we wait on the 2026 Savage schedule. I love you guys. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.